Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
Just the two of us here at the moment. 1970s. That was the decade we kind of grew up from being toddlers, wasn't it? We were both 70s kids.
Yeah, I was born in 1970,
yeah,
so I remember it very well.
I'm a little bit younger.
Slightly.
1970s things that are no longer allowed. Smoking in the pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum used to say, go and get your dad from the pub.
Yeah.
And he was like, you couldn't even see inside. He used to open the door and it was like going into a fire.
Yeah, or even they used to send you to the shop with money to buy cigarettes.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I used to have to go to the shop to buy cigarettes and bread.
With a note.
And bread and say, yeah, these cigarettes are for my mum.
Yeah, I mean, bread and stuff you can understand.
Oh, cigarettes, yeah. I had to go to a local dealer to get my dad's stash.
I used to have to go with, I think it was about 50p for a packet of 20p Syverson and the pink.
Football pink, yeah. But anyway, 1970s things that are no longer allowed, let's see.
Remember when kids could ride their bikes for hours without anyone worrying? Or how seatbelts were more of a suggestion than a rule? Growing up in the 70s was a different world. A world without constant supervision, smartphones, or helicopter parenting. Children ran free, TV shows weren't streamed but scheduled, and the rules seemed much more relaxed. But as time passed, many of these practices quietly disappeared, replaced by new standards and safety rules. So, what exactly did the 70s kids do that today's kids will never experience? Join us as we take a nostalgic trip back and find out. Prank calls were the original fun before caller ID ruined it.
Caller ID.
Do you remember huddling around the landline, giggling with your friends, ready to make a prank call? Is your refrigerator running? Was a classic. Prank calls were an innocent thrill back then, long before caller ID was a thing. No smartphones to ruin the fun, no names flashing up to give you away. The thrill came from not knowing if you'd get caught. But with technology today, prank calling has pretty much died out. It's hard to...
Can you still do 1471? Which told you who'd called you?
I don't know, I don't have a landline.
No.
We don't have a landline.
No.
I don't know.
I'm just wondering, you used to be able to dial a number for the talking clock.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing anymore.
And you used to do 1471 and it told you who the last
last number called was. That was more of a... that wasn't around in the 70s though, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I think that's more of not a modern thing, but more of a 90s sort of thing.
No, I think it's a 70s thing.
I don't remember it being that far back.
Definitely the 80s.
To imagine a time when tricking someone on the phone was the highlight of a weekend. But that was life in the 70s, the golden age of toilet papering. Toilet papering houses was practically an art form in the 1970s. Armed with rolls of toilet paper, kids would sneak out at night to cover trees and rooftops in streams of white. The aftermath looked like some kind of abstract art. It was harmless, rebellious fun. These days, not so much. With security cameras and Ring doorbells everywhere, you'd be caught before you could even toss the first roll. The modern world just isn't built for these kinds of pranks. What was once a favorite pastime for kids has now been swapped for prank videos on social media. Much less creative, wouldn't you agree? And then there was riding bikes after school. School's out, and back in the 1970s, that meant one thing: hopping on your bike and cruising the neighborhood. You didn't need a plan.
Didn't need a helmet
You just
either.
pedaled around with your friends until the streetlights came on. It was a kind of freedom today's kids don't really get to experience.
Yeah.
No GPS tracking apps, no constant check-ins with parents, just you, your bike, and endless possibilities.
It's mad, isn't it? Because we used to go out like on a Saturday morning. I used to go probably at the age of about 11. I used to go strawberry picking to earn money. So I'd go potato picking first, then strawberry picking, then deliver the milk and deliver the newspapers at the time. So I had like 4 jobs when I was 11, right, to try and hustle. But they all finish I'd probably get out of it all done by about 9 o'clock, from like 6 till 9 or 5 till 9 in the morning. But I'd be going out at like 5 in the morning sometimes, dark, cold, wet, snowy, whatever it may be, to go and do whatever you had to do. And then when I'd come home, I'd get changed. Well, I didn't even get changed. I just used to go straight back out on the weekend. And then I'd be gone, like on my bike or out with my mates for like...
all day?
So, I wouldn't even eat.
No.
And then I'd come back at like 5, 6 o'clock at night. And then my parents wouldn't even bat an eyelid. They wouldn't sort of say, where have you been or anything.
No.
And I'm sure, I'm convinced...
My mum worked Saturday, so she never knew where I was anyway.
I'm not even sure my dad knew my name until I was about 16.
I don't think it was that bad. But if you remember when we moved to Holland, little kids, I'm talking like 4, 5-year-olds, going to school on the bike
Yeah,
on their own.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that round here because
No.
too many, fiddlers.
Yeah.
Sense of independence is something many kids today may never know, as modern technology and more cautious parenting have replaced these carefree after-school adventures. The great outdoors. You see, in the 70s, kids didn't need organized activities or screens to keep them entertained. The outdoors was the only playground they needed. From dawn until dusk, kids played outside, running, climbing, inventing games, and letting their imaginations run wild. Today, scheduled playdates and digital devices have taken over. The wild adventures that once defined childhood are fading into memories, replaced by structured and, let's be honest, a bit less exciting indoor fun. The freedom to roam, get dirty, and explore on your own terms is a thing of the past. No helmets, no fear. Back in the 1970s, riding a bike wasn't just about getting around. It was a symbol of freedom. And guess what? Helmets weren't even a thought.
Yeah.
The wind in your hair and the thrill of riding far from home with no adults around made it all the better. No GPS, no tracking, just pure adventure. Compare that to today, where helmets, supervision, and constant communication with parents are the norm.
When we were younger, we knew exactly where all the weirdos lived.
Yeah.
Right, where all the psychos lived, right, and you knew where you'd be able to get like someone to chase you from.
Yeah.
So you'd like flick a stone at the window or something, and then all run. You knowing that he's going to chase you for the next hour.
Yeah.
You know, even as we got older, if we seen a police car, we all just used to run. We'd not done anything wrong. We all just used to run, and the police would chase us for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that was great. That was like our entertainment, and then
Yeah.
we'd just all go home.
Yeah,
you know,
we had one that lived down the road, and we used to whistle at him, and he used to chase you.
That's what I'm saying. You knew who the psychos were, wouldn't you? But nowadays, if I said to Aiden, do you know who lives? I bet Aiden doesn't even know who our neighbours are.
No, he doesn't. He knows the ones across.
Yeah,
and
across
that's
the way,
it.
and that's it. Yeah, yeah. But that you wouldn't know anyone else.
No, he wouldn't.
It's a completely different experience now. Kids today have more safety gear, but less of that carefree spirit that made biking so exciting. Parents were less blamed for everything. In the 70s, parenting was a lot more relaxed. If a kid misbehaved, the general attitude was that it was just part of growing up. People didn't point fingers at the parents right away. Kids were expected to learn responsibility on their own. Nowadays, though, if a child steps out of line, there's often an assumption that it's the parent's fault. This shift reflects how our ideas about parenting have changed, with more focus on helicopter parenting and constant involvement in kids' lives.
You said it twice now. I don't know what it is. Helicopter parenting.
Yeah, it means that you're involved in everything they do. Like kids, like when we were little, my mum never played with me. Not that sounds a bit weird, that doesn't it? But she never played with me. Whereas now, kids don't know how to play on their own. You have to play a game with them, or you have to do something with them.
Yeah, I think it was our aim as growing up in the 70s to try and avoid your parents.
I don't think it was that. It was just that she had a work
Well, I
to do.
had angry parents, so
Yeah.
if I walked in a little bit of mud into the what's I was beaten
Yeah.
with a stick.
Yeah, my mum worked. She was a single parent, and she worked all the time. And then when she came home, she had to like do the washing and make tea and stuff like that. So she didn't have time to play with you.
Yeah.
Trampolines without nets. If you had a trampoline in your backyard in the
Posh.
1970s, you were
Gymnast.
living
Yeah.
the dream. But there was one catch: no safety nets. That's right, kids would bounce around with nothing to stop them from flying off the edge. Sure, there were a few more bumps and bruises, but that was part of the fun. Today, trampolines come with nets, padding, and all sorts of safety features, which makes them safer, but in some ways, less exciting. Back then, you had to be extra careful, but it was worth it for the thrill. Going to camp without a stack.
Closest we got to a trampoline is someone would bring out a sheet, and the littlest would get in the middle, and we'd all gather around and throw it up in the air
Yeah.
as high as we can. Imagine that now.
There was
You'd
no,
be
there
put
was
in prison
there
for
was
it.
somewhere. I think it might be like Blackpool, and they had like the trampolines that were built into the sand.
Yeah, but they were too expensive for us to go on. When we went away, we couldn't afford any further expenditure.
No, when I went to Pontins, I went on
We
the
just had to
trampoline.
stare at other kids doing it.
Pack of
all,
paperwork.
all one ice cream with 3 tongues.
Summer camp in the 1970s was all about fun, not filling out endless forms. Parents would sign 1 or 2 papers, and that was it. No long health checklists, no extensive waivers, just pack your bags and off you went. Comparing it with these days, camp comes with a lot more paperwork. It's all for safety, of course, But it's hard not to miss the simpler times when heading to camp was as easy as grabbing your backpack and a sleeping bag. Attending the neighborhood school. You see, back in the day, most kids just went to the closest school to their house.
Yep.
The idea of researching schools or trying to get into the best one wasn't really a thing. You went where your friends went, and that was that. This built strong community ties since everyone in the neighborhood went to the same place.
I had to go to a school outside of my neighbourhood because
your
my
brothers
got me banned. I didn't even go to school, and I was banned from the school because of them two idiots.
These days, parents often stress about finding the best school. But in the 70s, it was all about going to your local school and being part of your neighborhood. Getting in trouble on the bus. If you acted up on the school bus in the 1970s, you didn't blame the bus driver. You knew you'd be the one getting in trouble. The bus driver's job was to get you to school, not to deal with discipline. If a kid caused trouble, they faced consequences like detention or even getting kicked off the bus. These days, it seems like there's more pressure on bus drivers to manage behavior, but back then it was clear. The kid was responsible for their actions. Metal lunch pails were a thing. School lunches in the 70s were a little more fun. Instead of plastic or insulated lunch bags, kids carried metal lunch pails.
Insulated lunch bags.
These pails often had superheroes, cartoon characters, or TV shows on them, making lunchtime a little more personal and exciting.
Did you ever take like a packed lunch to school?
No.
Me neither.
No, we had hot lunches.
Yeah, we had like a voucher.
Yeah.
We had lunch tickets.
45p.
45p, yeah. But I never took. And if I did have to take, if we went on a school trip, and we had to take a packed lunch, I never had a lunchbox. Mine was in like a
carrier bag.
Carrier bag.
Mine was too.
But it wasn't even a good carrier bag. It was one of the shit shops.
When you think about Declan and Aidan, they took a packed lunch every day, and they took a full like cooler.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Inside, you'd find the usual sandwich, fruit, and maybe a sweet treat. Today's insulated lunch bags might keep things colder, but there's something about those metal pails that screams nostalgia. Misbehaving meant facing angry parents. Did you know that in the 1970s, if you got in trouble at school, you weren't as worried about the teachers as you were about your parents?
Right.
When you got home, you'd have to face their disappointment, and that was often punishment enough. Teachers expected parents to handle their kids' behavior at home. These days, schools and parents are more likely to work together on discipline. But in the 70s, it was all on the parents to set things right. An F in school meant a serious talk. Getting an F in the 1970s wasn't something you could easily brush off. Your parents would sit you down and give you a serious talk about the importance of school and doing your best. It wasn't just about the grade. It was about showing that you were trying. These sermons were meant to get you back on track and teach you that hard work mattered. Today, parents might be more involved with teachers in solving problems, but in the 70s, it was usually up to you to improve. Sports were everywhere. Sports back then were a big deal. Whether it was organized teams at school or just pickup games in the neighborhood, kids were always outside playing something. Sports weren't just for fun. They taught...
Who's that guy? Gotta go back to that.
...to improve. Sports were everywhere. Sports back then were a big deal. Whether it was organized teams at school or just pickup games in the neighborhood, kids were always out...
The guy in the white hat in the park.
I'm hoping it's one of the dads.
Looks a bit suspect for me, that.
...outside playing something. Sports weren't just for fun. They taught teamwork, discipline, and staying active. Nowadays, there's more structure and sometimes even pressure around youth sports. But in the 70s, it was all about enjoying the game and hanging out with your friends. Whether you were winning or losing, it didn't matter as long as you were out there playing. Vacations and family adventures. In the 1970s, family vacations were all about exploring the outdoors. Whether it was camping in a national park, hiking through the mountains, or spending time in a lakeside cabin, these trips were an opportunity for families to escape everyday life. Kids would fish, swim, and roast marshmallows around the campfire, while parents enjoyed the peace that nature brought. These moments weren't just about fun. They helped families bond. Being surrounded by nature and away from distractions made these memories priceless, reminding families that the simple joys of life often come from the world around us. Birthday parties were a whole lot of fun. Birthday parties back then were something kids looked forward to all year. These celebrations were big, with friends, family, and lots of laughter. Themed parties were popular, with kids dressing up as clowns, superheroes, or characters from their favorite TV shows.
When I had a birthday party, which I think I had about 2 or 3
You
in
had
my
more
whole
than that.
life. No, I mean an actual birthday party as a kid. It was always in the house.
Yeah, I don't remember ever a birthday. I had maybe some of that at school, maybe.
Yeah, so I think I had about 2 or 3 birthday parties. My mum would make a cake, and the kids would be dropped off for about 2 hours. We'd have sandwiches, a piece of cake, play pass the parcel,
Yeah.
and then they'd go home.
Yeah, there was you never rented anywhere out.
No.
I never went to a hall or anything like that.
Can you imagine saying to the kids now, we're going to have people around to the house and we're just going to have like a bit of cake? They'd be like, I don't think so.
No, I think, like I said, I think my mum maybe sent a cake into school or something like that, or
I don't think she would have done that
she would have
either.
bought it from she would have got it from my aunt who worked at Kipling's for free and got like out of date cakes.
No, but I don't remember cakes being sent into school.
Yeah, we do something like that.
I remember
Yeah.
we had blancmange, pink blancmange.
Games like Pin the Tail on the Donkey or musical chairs filled the day.
Yeah,
And of
we used
course,
to play
no
that.
birthday party was complete without a homemade cake. These parties weren't just about the cake and games, though. They were about creating memories and sharing special moments with loved ones. A scrape or two, no big deal. For kids in the 70s, getting a few scrapes and bruises during playtime was just part of the fun. Whether they were climbing trees or riding bikes, these small injuries were seen as badges of honor. Parents didn't overreact to a skinned knee. They simply cleaned it up, slapped on a bandage, and sent the kids back out to play. This was a time when playtime meant adventure, and a few bumps along the way were all part of growing up and learning about resilience. The best part of the weekend. Saturdays in the 70s had one highlight for every kid: cartoons. Shows like Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones, and Tom and Jerry were
used
the
to
stars
love
of
all
the
them.
weekend. Children would wake up early, grab a bowl of cereal, and sit in front of the TV to watch their favorite animated characters. These cartoons were more than just entertainment. They gave kids a chance to unwind, laugh, and enjoy their favorite part of the week. Plus, it was something to look forward to before the school week started again. Friends made every day better. Having friends over in the
Cartoons used to finish around about lunchtime, though, didn't they? You got and then sport would start.
I,
It
I
did
was-
in our house anyway.
I was just thinking, I don't remember watching them on a Saturday morning. It was after school.
No, I watched on after school was like things like News Round or Grange Hill.
Yeah, I
things
guess
like
so,
that.
yeah.
The,
But I'm
the
sure
cartoons were Saturday morning
I'm
for
sure
me.
Scooby-Doo was on at night.
No, I think it was the Saturday morning,
You do?
and then it'd finish about lunchtime, and then sports would start. And
But it
then
was
after-
always like
then the horse racing.
Tis was and
Yeah, you had the program like that, but then the cartoons would be on as well
Mm.
after that, and then it would be, like I say, then it'd be sports programming, and then you get the horse racing on. Then we'd go out. We'd probably go to the football in them days
Mm.
and go and watch a match or something like that. But and then when you got back, that was it. Bed.
yeah,
No shower or anything, just straight to bed.
just on a Sunday night before school.
flannel around your face.
The 70s was a big deal. Whether it was after school or on weekends, kids would gather to play games, ride bikes, or simply watch TV together. There was always something fun to do, whether it was building forts, playing board games, or just hanging out. These playdates were a way for kids to strengthen friendships, share laughter, and enjoy being young. And let's not forget how a simple afternoon with friends could turn into the most memorable day. Teenagers and their record collections. Now, if you were a teenager in the 70s, you probably had a prized record collection. Music was everything. From rock to disco, teens would spend hours listening to their favorite bands. Vinyl records weren't just music, they were a lifestyle. Teens would often gather at each other's houses to share music, talk about the latest hits, and bond over their shared love for bands like the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin. It was a time when music brought people together, creating connections that lasted a lifetime. Sleepovers were filled with adventure.
Never had one as a
A
kid.
sleepover at a friend's
You didn't?
house in the
I
70s
did.
was an exciting adventure. Kids would pack their sleeping bags, bring their favorite toys, and prepare for a night full of fun. From watching movies to telling ghost stories and staying up way past bedtime, sleepovers were a way for kids to bond and share secrets. It wasn't just about staying up late. It was about creating lifelong memories with friends. Family dinners meant more than just eating. In the 70s, family dinners weren't rushed affairs. They were moments when everyone sat down together, shared their day, and truly connected.
Did you used to all sit round a table?
No, I wasn't. That family did. There was no room for me, was there?
You had to stand in the sink.
It's funny. It just makes me laugh. It really is funny.
We never even sat at a table apart from Christmas Day.
Yeah, we sat down. Our family, it was quite a large family. There was quite a few of us, but there was no room at the table for me. So I had to stand on the draining board on the sink. Oh, that's funny. That's where my seat was. That's where my seat was. That was my spot. I didn't even have a seat. Stand up and eat.
Get cramp.
Oh, funny.
Without the distraction of smartphones or the TV, these meals were about conversation. Whether talking about school, work, or current events, family dinners gave everyone a chance to feel heard and supported. This daily tradition fostered close family bonds and created a sense of unity that stayed with children as they grew up.
Cool, to want to see at the
Chores
table.
like dishwashing taught responsibility. Did you know that washing dishes wasn't just a chore in the 70s? It was a way to teach responsibility. After family meals, kids were all...
Hang on, is that what you did with those?
What? Wash the pots?
I used to have a bath in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this thing, that was another one we used to do as well. That was our bath.
It's all right when you're a baby, but when you get to 7 or 8...
often expected to help clean up, and that meant scrubbing dishes. While it might not have been the most exciting task, it was a way for children to learn the importance of contributing to the household. Plus, washing dishes together often led to moments of laughter and teamwork, turning a simple chore into quality family time.
Always a
Grocery
fight.
day was a
I used to
family
love
of...
my chores.
Always turned into a punch-up in our house with my
Really?
brothers and me when we had to wash the pots or wash the dishes.
Yeah,
He'd
no,
be like,
my job was on a Saturday before I left the house. I had to clean the bathroom, but I used to love it. I used to put my marigolds on and have my spray, and
yeah, we had to just clean our own rooms, but it was. But,
I had to do that as well.
Having two older brothers was like a proper like. If I was washing and I missed a bit, they'd kick into a big fight. There'd be proper fist fights,
Yeah.
and proper punch-ups.
event. Believe it or not, grocery shopping was fun in the 70s. Families would head to the store together, and kids would get excited about picking out their favorite snacks or helping their parents
I
choose
hated
items.
doing the big shop.
Just no-
Grocery
no way.
day was more than just a chore. It was a chance for the family to spend time together. Children loved steering the shopping cart or pretending it was a race car. Plus, with all the free samples and demonstrations,
Free samples.
there was
Not-
always
not
something to
here.
look forward to on these trips. Rewards for good behavior at the grocery store. Speaking of grocery, for kids in the 70s, behaving well during a grocery trip often meant a special reward. Parents would let their children pick out a treat from the shelves as a way to say, "Good job."
Don't
Whether it
remember
was
that.
candy, a favorite
I used to go with my mum every Friday, and she used to get like all the like little bits, and I always got a bag of sweets from the indoor market, the sweet store there.
Yeah, I got them as I got older.
Yeah.
As a kid, as a young kid, there was nothing. I didn't even go shopping.
I used to have to go every Thursday, once a month, to do the big shop with the frozen stuff
yeah.
and all the rest of it. And every Friday, I had to go with mum up until I was about 11, and then I was allowed to stay at home on my own.
It was good for me because I had two older brothers. They had to go to help carry all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I got away with that. So I
Yeah.
didn't have to go. So thank God.
Yeah.
snack or even a small toy, this little act of independence made kids feel grown up. It also taught them the value of good behavior while making the shopping experience more enjoyable for everyone.
Nightmare.
Affordable treats were everywhere. The 70s were a time when snacks and treats were affordable, making it easy for parents to buy little indulgences for their kids without breaking the bank. From candies to chips, the shelves were filled with affordable delights. This meant kids could enjoy their favorite treats more often, and it brought joy to families who didn't have to worry about
That was
overspending.
the 70s.
Kid.
It was a time when small pleasures were within reach for everyone. Station wagons were a thing. If you lived in the 70s, chances are you rode in a station wagon at some point. These cars were famous for their spacious interiors, making them perfect for family road trips or grocery runs. With room for everyone and everything, station wagons were like rolling living rooms. Families would pile in, and with their large back seats and rear-facing third rows, there was plenty of space for adventure.
At what age do you remember having a car?
Oh, we always had a car.
Yeah, so I was 12 when my mum got her first car.
Yeah,
we never had a car. We used
we
to
had
go
a
on the bus
station wagon.
everywhere.
We had a Vauxhall Viva estate,
Yeah.
which was like paradise for me because I could lie down in the boot.
Yeah. No, you see, the bus stop was across the road. We used to get on the bus, but then when we got off wherever we were, we had to walk forever. Or we went on our bikes.
We always had a car because my dad needed one for his job.
Yeah.
So it was like we always had a car. He was a getaway driver. I'm not lying.
These cars became a symbol of family life and the memories created on the road. Snacks in the car used to be a road trip tradition. Road trips in the 70s often involved a lot of snacks. Dads especially were known to ask for candy or treats while driving. Whether it was a stop at a gas station for a quick snack or passing around candy in the car, these moments made road trips even more fun. It wasn't just about the destination. It was about the little moments of joy along the way. Outdoor fashion was all about freedom. Kids in the 70s dressed for freedom when it came to outdoor activities like biking or skateboarding. Jeans, t-shirts, and sneakers were the go-to outfits, perfect for playing outside. With loose-fitting clothes that allowed them to move freely, kids felt comfortable whether they were cruising down the street or at the local skate park. Safety gear came later, but in the early days, it was all about the feeling of the wind in their hair and the open road ahead. Forts were
I reckon I was about 16, 17 before I got my first pair of jeans.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I remember buying jeans, and at the time they had piping down the side, so it was red piping or white piping, and I was about 8 or 9, I think. But I used to go to Civic Market, and they had the jean stalls, and you pick your jeans and you go into the toilets to try them on, and if you wanted them, you'd buy them. But I did that from a very early age.
No, first pair of jeans I had was probably about 16.
So what did you wear then?
My brother's school pants.
No, you didn't. I've seen photographs, and you've got like t-shirt, stretchy shorts on and stuff.
Yeah, that's when I was like a little baby. I'm talking when I was like age between like 7 and say 14. I had my brother's hand-me-downs from his school pants, and I used to call them sometimes. So there were school pants made into shorts. So we were proper tramps.
a world of their own. Forts were sacred spaces for kids in the 70s. Whether they built them indoors with blankets and pillows or outside with sticks and leaves, forts were places where imagination thrived. These cozy hideaways became castles, pirate ships, or secret headquarters, and inside kids could share stories, plan adventures, or just enjoy a bit of independence. These private little worlds gave children a sense of ownership and creativity, creating memories that would last forever. The magic of the Sears Christmas catalog. The Sears Christmas catalog was a dream come true for kids in the 70s. Filled with toys, games, and holiday treasures.
Yeah, you circle
It was
what
the
you wanted.
perfect tool for making wish lists. Families would gather around, flipping through the pages to plan their holiday shopping. For kids, it was a magical moment, picturing the toys they hoped to find under the Christmas tree. From dolls to board games, the catalog sparked excitement and made the holiday season even more special. In the end, children are shaped by the environment they grow up in. Things were different back then. Growing up in the 1970s meant more time outside, bonding with family, and simpler pleasures. But today's kids are more connected globally, learning new skills quickly through technology, and have more tools for self-expression. It's all about finding balance, choosing the right mix of real-world experiences and digital engagement. So it's not about whether one era was better than the other, but recognizing that each has its unique advantages. What do you think? Were the 70s a better time for kids than today? And if you were to choose, which era would you want to be in as a child?
See, it's a lot different in the States, I think, to the UK.
Yeah.
Like, I think in the States, they had much bigger houses, and so all the kids would go to each other's houses, where in the UK I would go to my friend Alison's house, but my other friends I'd only be able to sort of go in and wait for them, and then we'd have to go out. We were never allowed in. We were never allowed to play in the house.
No, we were never allowed in anyone's house. We had to wait at the door, in the garden, like in the front yard or whatever.
Yeah.
At the door, you weren't allowed to cross the door. Very few people.
I think it's different for girls.
Possibly, yeah, but it was. I think, like I say, growing up for us in the 70s and the 80s, because it was like I was still very young in the 70s as well. But growing up in the 70s, 80s, there weren't really much difference. We had a lot of responsibility. We had a lot of freedom and responsibility as well, and just choose what you want to do and go and do it.
Yeah.
You know, there was no clamp down on everything. Nowadays, everyone's watched. Even as an adult, you watched and kind of guided on what to do and what to say and how to behave. Whereas there, it was a freedom.
Yeah.
If you got out of line, someone would give you a crack on the head, and it wasn't necessarily your parent. It
I
was the closest adult.
It was like the neighbourhood, wasn't it? If you did something wrong, the neighbour would tell you off.
Yeah, and it was a massive togetherness, which I think is probably missing a little bit over here now, especially in the UK. There's actually going to do a video with some of the things that I learned from living in the USA and living in the UK and going back to visit into the USA, and what's still there in the USA but it's not in the UK. It's gone from the UK.
Yeah.
And it's a massive cultural difference.
Yeah.
There's been a massive cultural shift.
Yeah.
And we've had to adapt to it again coming back to the UK.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a video talking about that and see if people agree or disagree with how it goes. But but like I say, growing up in the 70s, I wouldn't change a thing about growing up in the 70s.
No, I loved
when
it.
I look back now, I laugh my head off. It just, I mean, you see there, I just find it hysterical that, you know, when I tell our kids that there was no space for me at the table, I had to stand at the sink. They don't believe me.
No.
You know, it's true. You know, we only had enough table, we had enough seating for 6, and there was 7 of us, sort of thing. So I was the one that stood up, and it was just one of them where it was like,
It is what it is.
yeah, it was just me that drew the short straw. You know, it was one of them. You just get on with it. You don't nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You get if I moaned about it, I got beat up. Yeah. You know, by even my brothers or my dad or my mum or whoever. You know, it was like one of them. There was a punch up.
Yeah.
But even the food we had, it was like, you know, there was nothing. There was never any takeaways. I think the first time I had McDonald's was about 18 when I first had a McDonald's.
Yeah, you'd never had pizza when I met you.
Yeah, same. It's
I think it was a French bread pizza as well. It wasn't even a proper pizza.
I mean, I love pizza now. I made up for it. Put it that way for takeaways and stuff like that. But it's at the same time, it's a lot of things taken for granted with the modern day kid now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that if they want a toy for Christmas, or it's not even toys anymore, it's gadgets now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they want a gadget for Christmas, they expect it, no matter what price is on it.
I remember my brother wanted one of those handheld games, and it was quite expensive. My mum said, you can only have it if Gaynor agrees to have it as part of her present as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that. And he was like, please. And I thought, I'm never going to play this. And I never did. I played it for about half an hour on Christmas Day and then never again.
But you see what kids get for Christmas now. I know there was a conversation in the office. One of the kids wants not one of our kids, but one of the people who works in the office, one of their kids, they want a gaming PC. Now, some of the gaming PCs are a few grand.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I remember one Christmas, I got a calculator for
musical.
Christmas. Yeah, it played music a little bit. It wasn't a musical instrument, it was a bloody calculator. And that's what I got for Christmas. That was my main present for Christmas.
Yeah.
So you weren't allowed to use it at school. I couldn't even take it into school. So I'm thinking, what am I going to use a calculator for?
Yeah.
So.
I remember we used to have 2 different Christmases. So we got up in the morning and we had a small amount of presents to open, and then we had to wait till 10 o'clock when my granddad and grandma came, and then we'd open all our presents together. Yeah, and so it was like a sock. It wasn't even like a stocking or anything. It was like my stepdad's sock, and there'd be an apple, an orange, a blue ribbon chocolate biscuit, and some nuts in there. But when I took them out, I wasn't allowed to eat them. I had to put them back in the fruit bowl.
You were posh. Hey? It's even now though. When I buy the kids a present now, I just give it them. As soon as it arrives, I give it them and just say, "I've got you that for Christmas."
Yeah, you do now, but not when they were little.
No,
we
not
used
when
to
they were
wrap
little.
it up, and we did the whole Santa thing. Yeah.
But it's funny. It's great watching back for the 70s though, because it brings back so many memories for me.
Yeah, and even
they're
like
really funny.
Remember the slides that were like silver?
Yeah, no sides on them.
No, but they were red hot if the sun was beaming down.
Yeah, and that's if someone hadn't pissed down it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Let us know in the comments some of your memories from the 70s. You grew up in the 70s anyway, or 80s. Very similar, I'd say, 70s and 80s. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.